Okay, and we are off. And I need to get things going. We got the new URL at the bottom and everything's going on. I probably need to turn off the sound and then let's move into the other account where I can watch what's going on. And if anyone's got any questions, people can ask away. So if you've got a question, ask away. I've got some news. As soon as we've got some followers watching us, I will do all that. Just uploaded version 3 of Aussie Visa Mate, and for iOS in the App Store, that'll be out in probably tomorrow, a day, hopefully by the weekend, because I've just posted that it's got to be out for the weekend. And of course the website now, you don't need to have an iPhone. You can have an iPhone if you want to carry it around with you and check it all out. But if you've got a browser, you can just go to the website and access the information. The good stuff is still paywalled. You need to subscribe. But if you're just after access to some informational videos on priority processing, applying for tourist visas from tricky countries, or the best parent visa you should apply for, if you've got to get your parents out here, the 870, go for that. Head to AussieVisaMate.app and you can check all that out on the website. And from there, you can also download the Android version, which is just a packaged version of the website, but it allows you to get quick access. You don't need to type in the URL or favorite or anything like that. You can download that, and you can also get the iPhone version and take it from there. So yeah, so there you go. How did everyone go during the Melbourne Cup? I know I know a woman jockey won, and I think she bumped her husband out of the way in order to win. But I don't know her name, and I don't know the name of the horse. I used to didn't really follow the races, but I used to work at the races when I was a long time ago when I was at university. I worked for a bookmaker and several bookmakers actually. Worked at the races, and Melbourne Cup Day was always flat out hard day where you just stuck your head down. Back in the day when you actually had them, Harry, how you going, champ? Back in the day when you had to manually write in the book the bets, now it's all, of course, computerized. Takes all the fun out of it. It's pretty easy to just type in some bets. But it used to be crazy during Melbourne Cup Day. And of course, today is Thursday, and that's Oaks Day. Mungus Tech, I want to migrate to Australia. Can you help? Well, I can help, but you need to qualify. Sembo, does New South Wales require an ROI or EOI is enough? Well, I'm not the. you need to tell New South Wales. You need to tell all the states that that you're making an application and that you qualify, and then they'll select you and let the department know, and you can go from there. Specifically, I don't know what the New South Wales process is, but you'll need to check out on their website to find out. Because they only have 2,100 spots. There's not a lot of demand for state sponsorship. Most people do it themselves. T-Man Waters, why don't you respond inbox messages? Well, I do. But if you say hello or just give me a thumbs up, I don't know what you're referring to and I delete it. So if you send me an inbox that's got a question in it, then I'll respond to it. But I'm getting 1 million views a month, and I'm getting 20 or 30 requests, like DMs a day. If they're meaningless and they require me to do more work or wait around for a response, different time zones for people around the world. Just ask a question and I'll respond to it if I can assist you. So, username, I'm a truck driver from Kenya, I'm interested. So you can register on the website and you'll get an information sheet. It basically says you need to have an English test. If you don't have an English test, you're not going anywhere. And then after you've done an English test, you need 3 years work experience so that you can get a skills assessment. You can apply for the skills assessment while you're offshore, but you need to have a driver's license, an Australian driver's license. And the only way you can get one of those is to come to Australia. So if you're offshore, you'll be eligible if you have an English test, if you complete the skills assessment, and if somehow you can get to Australia and get a driver's license. But otherwise, employers aren't interested in you. Doesn't matter how much experience you've got. If you can't qualify for the visa, and those are the 3 qualification things, then you're wasting time. And I've got over 1,000 people, mainly from overseas, who have applied, and a lot from Africa, and a lot from, usually sort of Indians, Pakistanis, that kind of area, who are working in Saudi. But you need to meet the requirements, and you're going to need some cash, because to come to Australia, it's going to cost you close to 10 grand Australian dollars to go through the process, get a skills assessment, get your driver's license, fly to Australia, get accommodation, all the rest of it. If you apply and fill in your email address, that gets sent to you. And in the short term, people who are interested can get back in touch. But just saying I'm interested as a DM doesn't help me at all, because I look after a lot of people for a lot of different things, and I don't have time to be responding to people who aren't being specific about what their needs are. Audiology, better at South Australia or any state. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at Aussie Visa, mate, and see what it says in relation to, I'll bring it up. Let's go here, audiologist. So here's the website. You can go there, Aussie Visa, mate. You can go to the VIP tools and you can sign in. And let's go for audiologists. And now this data, this is the latest data. This is last month's data. So it just was updated on Tuesday or Wednesday. It's got all the information about the temporary assignments that have been made for recent offers from New South Wales, and how many applicants there are for audiologists. So we've got applicants in New South Wales, 81. They made 27 offers recently, but that means in the last year and a half sort of thing. And yeah, so look, I suppose it's pretty good. If you go down to the bottom, you've got the score distribution. These are the scores for people who've applied with the 190. So we predict that you need 85 points. And as you can see, we've got quotas in here. So the quotas have been updated. The states haven't announced what their quotas are yet. I said a couple of weeks ago that the minister had told them what their quotas are. And at the migration conference, which I didn't attend last week, but other commentators have spoken about, the Western Australia has definitely been cut by 30%. And so they're down from 3,000 to 2,100. And they're saying that all of the other quotas have been dropped by 30%, except for Queensland, which was only 600 last year anyway. So I have taken the liberty of, and for informational purposes for everyone out there, of lowering the quotas from last year by 30% for all of them, so people have got an understanding about what their chances are. And if you're looking at 491 regional as well, again, no offers anywhere for audiologists, unfortunately. And you can see here, it doesn't matter what your score is, they're all in red. Because there has been no offers in that space. So that's the wrong page. So that is the situation. Showa, you might not know this. Audiologists, better at South Australia or any state, South Australia or New South Wales, by the looks of it. Let's get back to that. I've mentioned truck drivers and what the process is. Just register. Go to AussieVisaMate.app, and bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a thing for aged care workers and for truck drivers. You type in your email address, it'll send you the information sheet. You can figure out whether you qualify or not. What if we can't find employers who are willing to pay T-SMIT? Well, you don't qualify unless you get on a labour agreement, right? So, or a Dharma agreement, because they get salary exemptions for a lot of the things. So, drugs in you. I'm not sure who'd want to employ you. Let's say they're prescription drugs, look. Basically, the T-SMIT is there. It's called the CSIC now, the Core Skills Income Threshold, but it's there to basically to protect migrants, to make sure they've got enough money to live on when they're in Australia. Rents here are, rents in Australia. I'm in Thailand. Rents here are astronomical. Ravi Tour, what if someone's medical insurance is cancelled on temporary residence for 6 months? Let me go back to where it is. Okay, so I'm not an expert on 485 visas, temporary residence, but you've got a requirement on a 482 definitely to maintain your medical insurance, and certainly if you do have a requirement to maintain medical insurance as part of your visa, then you're subject to cancellation for not maintaining. Like if you get caught and you've still got your temporary visa, then you are subject to cancellation because you haven't met your visa conditions. It's just like overworking or working when you shouldn't. And if you're applying for a subsequent visa, then it's probably unlikely, but you might get caught out for not complying with your previous visa conditions, and then you wouldn't be eligible for a future visa. So if you've got the requirement, you've got to maintain it. Is it advisable to apply for a student visa when you've already expressed interest on a 189, 190? Cheryl, if you want to come and study here, then you should do so. 189s and 190s, only 5% of people actually get an offer. So, if your study is linked to your course, if you want to do a master's and you've already got a degree or that kind of thing, and you're going to study the master's anyway, do it. But I don't know, I can't give you advice, but I can't tell you what to do because I don't know anything about your situation, right? But there's no reason why you can't apply for a student visa just because you've lodged an expression of interest. An expression of interest isn't even a visa application. It's just putting up your hand and saying, hey, I'd like to come to Australia. What do you think of my case? Stuart, what's going on with the Immigration Department? Have a 482 for nearly 5 months. Well, look, on Aussie Visa, mate, I keep the processing times up to date, and for the work visas, they're just crazy ridiculous. 482 Core Skills is now 3 to 6 months. And what they've done, which I find absolutely unbelievable, is, I haven't put it up on the screen. Absolutely unbelievable is they're now doing sponsorships and nominations, but they're including the old TSS ones, which are backlogged by 12 months, right? So, the latest you could have lodged was the 5th of December. So it's the 5th of November. There's ones in there that are 11 months, right? And if you look at the nominations, it's saying 50% are 56 days and over 90% are taking 6 months. And the same with the sponsorships. 50% of applications are taking 5 months and 90% of applications are taking 6 months. I mean, they must be miles behind. These are occupations which we are in demand. We really need these people. So we're also getting a lot of applications coming through, and the people making planning things are just making up figures. They're not looking at the actual demand. So what about South Australia? Johan, how are you going, mate? Good to see you. God, I haven't seen you for a while. Hope things are going well with the missus. Even got senators involved and still can't get anywhere. There's a huge major backlog, right? Everything is backlogged. Spouse visas, there's 95,000 cases outstanding, and their planning level is 40,000. So on average, it's going to take over 2 years. At the migration conference, someone said if they don't change the migration figures, spouse visas within a year or two could be taking 5 years to be granted, and that is completely outrageous. Given the average life of a marriage is only 8 years or something. So, I mean, terrible. We need to get more, like the problem with getting senators involved is they can't really do anything. They're either Labor senators and they don't care because they're in government for the next X years, or they're independents or the Nationals, and unless they're a Green senator, they can't actually affect. I don't think anyone. If they're Greens, that they can still affect the balance of power, but the independents can't. They can just make noise. So let's have a look. What else has got? SU. I used to be against immigration, but what made you change? I've never been against immigration. I've always been against the scammers, and I've always been against the incredible numbers of international students, which are just outrageous. But for 12 years, I did recruitment, and I was placing, overseas IT workers for 12 years. And after that, I did 6 years as a registered migration agent, placed over 1,000 migrants in a permanent residence in Australia, work visas and spouse visas. So, the levels at the moment are completely outrageous. So, and the government should be doing more about it. So, for Dharma visa, what if employers can't pay the teasment or paying lower? Look, if you find another employer, right? There's it's not just that you have to meet the minimum salary, but you've got to meet what you'd pay an Australian worker. So if your occupation is such a low paid job that Australians aren't getting paid that, then it's not going to be eligible. And if it is, then the Australian, they're not going to meet a salary test. So, yeah. When is ROI for SA opening? I don't know off the top of my head. South Australia, I think South Australia has got their temporary spots, and they're open. I think they're open for invitation. No, they've got their temporary spots and they've made an allocation, but they're not open for new applicants yet. So if you're already in there, you're being considered for the interim places that they get. And I saw Queensland, I think, got another allocation of this. They're just trickling through these things. Like, we're in November, we're almost halfway through the year, and considering no one's going to do anything in December and January, right? With Christmas, and then the department's always asleep during January. So, look, you're completely barking up the wrong tree looking at 190 and 491 applications. The other thing that came out of the migration conference is the government is saying they're going to get rid of 190s and 491s. The writing is on the wall. And what they're saying to the states like Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, all the ones on the East Coast, is you need a state Dharma application, right? They want to get rid of the 190s and the 491s where people can just put up their hand and get selected, and then they don't live in the regional areas or they don't work in the occupation, and they want to get them on a state-based Dharma where they need to have an employer and they've got to work, right? So Western Australia's got 3,000 places. Northern Territory, I think, has got 3,000 over their 5 years. So look, just forget about 190s and 491s. You need an employer and you need to be sponsored. Locked for a partner visa. I don't know what it was all about. We've done Cheryl. look, drugs in you. Maybe you've taken too many. The Tismet at 76,000 is 75% of average weekly earnings, right? If we've already got record numbers of people on 482 visas. It's not open to everyone. It's only open to professionals. Graduates earn 70,000, so it's not a high bar. So I don't know what your occupation is, or what the average is, but do a salary survey on your occupation and see what you should be being paid. If we're in Australia as a tourist, Silha, if you're here as a tourist and you found it, you've just bumped into a pub, you've walked into a pub and you met someone who said, oh, I'd like to employ you, then as long as you don't have an 8503 no further stay condition, you can make an application here in Australia and you can remain. When you get on your bridging visa, you might be able to apply for work rights to start working for the company while they're processing, because the processing time's taking forever. If you've got the 8503 no further stay, you can't make an application while you're in Australia. So you'd need to leave the country and then make the application from offshore. But the employer can apply for a sponsorship and the employer can apply for a nomination right now. And when you leave, they can lodge the visa application. If you need a hand, drop me a DM, I'll help you out. Chris, how long is visa processing times for spouse visas? They all sort of drifted out. We'll have a look. I've got them right there. So the 820 is now 16 to 24 months, and the 309 is 14 months to 24 months. That's 50 to 90% application. That's what they're processing them at the moment. It's not a guarantee, it's just indicative. Prospective marriage visas, don't apply for these. It's a giant time waste. 14 months to 26 months just so you can get married and then apply for another visa. And even the second stage processing, all they have to do is basically confirm that you're not a criminal and you're still together, and that's taking 8 months if you're onshore and 10 months if you made an application offshore. And I mean, 90% of applications are still taking 26 months for the second stage, which is just completely outrageous. But there we go. Mimia's first. Let's get this off before TikTok goes angry and says I've got static content. Now that's on the Aussie visa, mate. The processing times are available for free. Don't need to sign up or anything. You just access them on the website, and they're grouped in areas. So you've got your spouse visas at the top, your work visas, your employer nomination visas next. Mimia's finest. Oh, you don't meet the health requirement. Well, so you need to get a health waiver. I don't do them. You need a specialist for a health waiver, really. The person I saw online who does them is that Tracy in Migration, so you might give her a call and pay her fee and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to be lodging a partner visa by yourself if you need a health waiver. So you should be in touch with a specialist who knows what's going on there. So there you go. Nana is a truck driver. Register in my bio. Accountant looking for sponsorship. No chance. You've got a very small chance. Like, look at accountants. The number of people. Like, they're not getting 189 offers, and with the reduced numbers, they're not going to get spouse. They're not going to get one state sponsorship numbers as well. Let's have a look. Accountants. There are 9,122 applicants, and if you look at state sponsorship, it's 12,362. Recent I was in New South Wales, 29, right? And I think accounting's been removed from New South Wales, I think. So it's not good. You need a just plugging my phone into my power before the battery dies. I think accountants need jobs. And having said that, I'm going to need an accountant pretty soon. So yeah, if I'm probably a little bit away from paying anyone, but I'm going to need an accountant because we're going to do some aged care recruiting, and I'm going to need to pay some staff. And I'll have to advertise, of course, because blah blah blah, market salaries. But once we're all set up and stuff, there's no reason why we can't sponsor an accountant and get them paid and get them PR in the end. Johansson's not in a hurry. Okay, well, that's good. Fontenoy, what a beautiful smile. Woo, thank you very much. Appreciate it. ASA reported woke host. Okay, well, thank you for that. Just give me a second. Oh, I have to take this down. Oh, dearie me. Just let me get there. I'm almost there. Got so many people. I'll try and get to people. If you've got questions, don't ask. Just I'm not a lawyer. I've got a master's in immigration law. There we go. We got rid of Asahole. Oh, dearie me. We don't need people like that. You might not right know this, Fontenoy. I'm not a lawyer. Is it possible to happen hearing twice in AAT student visa cancellation? Well, it is if they cancel for different reasons, right? So if they cancel the first time, if they cancel because you worked or you didn't attend or something like that, and then you got another reason to be cancelled, I don't know, you didn't, say they cancelled you for work and then blah, 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 they cancelled you for not attending or something like that. It's always possible. So what are you doing? Graduate. Ogle, got more than 5 years experience, 2.5 years positive, can I apply 186 direct entry? I don't know. I don't know. Basically, you've got to have 3 years post qualification. So if you don't have, say you worked for mum and dad as a, I don't know, painter. You might have 5 years work experience as a painter, but the first 3 years, because you didn't do an apprenticeship, that'll be counted as your education and won't count as work experience. So I don't know. I'd have to look at your case and figure it out. You can book an appointment. Otherwise, you can just wait 6 months. Assume you're still working in the field and do a direct entry then. Aussie Phil, 482 core skills, June 2012, but not heard. I'm age 47, skilled welder. Well, there's no age restriction, so it doesn't matter about your age. You're never going to get permanent residence if that's your end goal. You need to get onto a DARMA and be on the labour agreement stream. And processing is like 3 to 5 months, so I suppose maybe it's coming up soon. Jimmy, the only reason they give me for rejection was truck driver wasn't on the skills list. Well, it's not. It's only on DARMA agreements. So you need to apply through the DARMA agreement scheme. Jimmy, if you've got an employer who's prepared to sponsor you, I can get you the visa. So drop me a DM and we'll have a chat. I'm from Ghana and I love a truck driving job. How can I be? Oh, well, if you don't have one, you need 3 years experience. I can't help you there, Kusi. Princeton says good afternoon and good afternoon to you. Dual Furnishings, what's the current nomination and visa processing for the 482? Well, they're actually supplying useless figures. They're supplying figures now for the nomination and sponsorship. They haven't since the skilled independent stuff came through, but they're polluted because they're keeping the still 11-month outstanding processing of TSS applications, which is skewing the numbers a long way. But if we look on Aussie Visa Mate, the website, you can have a look at this yourself, AussieVisaMate.app, and then you can download my app or get it on Android or on the iPhone and subscribe to further information. But if we look at the processing times for the 482, the core skills is taking 3 to 6 months. The labour agreement's taking 4 to 5 months. The specialist visas, which are the ones where you paid over 141,000, taking 16 days to 66 days. And then sponsorships, 5 to 6 months. Labour agreements, 7 to 12 months. So look, you've got to sort of read between the lines. If they can process a specialist skills in 16 days to 66 days, well, nominations have to get processed. They might already be existing sponsors, but they can obviously process a nomination within 16 days if they have to, or within 66 days. So they should be able to get them done within 2 months, I would suggest. But if it's a core skills one, then yeah. Look, it's really frustrating. Jimmy, get in touch with me, champ. Earth Move. Well, if Coburn's Earth Move, I don't know where they are. There's only one Dharma agreement in New South Wales. That's Orana. So if they're anywhere near Orana, I don't know where Coralai is. But if they're in Orana, then they can do it. Otherwise, you need to be in another Dharma agreement. Find an employer in anywhere in the Northern Territory or anywhere in Western Australia, and you can get sponsored. Aussie Phil, done you. Thanks. Truck drivers from Ghana need to register on the website. Immigration is the government, Jimmy. They're not, and they're right. Truck drivers aren't on the skills list. They're on the Dharma agreements, and yeah. And if you go to Aussie Visa, mate, and you've got the paid service, you can go over to the Dharma site. Let's show this on screen. Okay, so we've got 189s, 190s, 491s. We've got the 482 skills in demand. Let's look up truck driver. So truck driver's there. So skills in demand, you can see core skills, it's not eligible, right? Now, if you're a highly paid truck driver, you earn over $141,000, you can go to specialist skills migration. So maybe if you're a truck driver coming out of a mining site where the average is like 160 to 200,000, you could be eligible just under the specialist skills because there's no occupation list for the special skills pathway. Depends what you're earning, right? Or a labour agreement, a Dharma agreement is a labour agreement. And then if you look over here, Dharmas, we've got Far North Queensland and the Pilbara. I wonder why there's only 2 occupations there, but there's 2 regions there. I'll have to check that out. But there should be more. Should be anywhere in Western Australia, and of course there's 4 regions in WA. I'll have to check out that is a bug. So truck driver, there you go. Anyway, moving right along, Aussie was told the whole of Western Australia's a Dharma region now. It is Aussie Phil. They still have 4 regional areas because the Dharmas, it's not unlimited like the 482. They've got a 5-year agreement, and I think Western Australia's got 3,000 or 5,000. They maybe got 5,000 places on their Dharma, so they're basically doing 1,000 a year to get people into the country. Hello, can you give me a bio link to the register, please? Yagi, you go to my picture. Oops. Click on Sensible Centre. You click on Sensible Centre. There it is. And there's a little arrow on the other side of that here pointing down, and there's a link, www.aussievisamate.app. So that's the link in my bio. So, and it says contact through the link below. There's a little arrow pointing down, and away you go. So all good. That's how you contact me. You can book meetings. You can DM me as well, but if you're going to DM me, ask me a question. Don't just go hello or, say anything, but can you help me with as a truck driver, because there's already links for the truck driver in my bio, right? Joel. Oops. The nomination, the sponsorship gets done first, the nomination gets done second, and then the visa application gets done third. If you lodge them all kind of together, they're linked, and the same case officer will go through them one after the other. VFF, I'm considering what area of law to study. Would you recommend going to immigration law? Look, immigration law is administrative law, right? So it's not the you versus us sort of situation that you get in regular law, the confrontational approach. It's all about reading the legislation and finding out whether your clients comply with it or not, and either supplying the documents to prove it, or if there's some sort of area where there's a discretion or something like that, then using your legal prowess, you can say, well, this is what happened in previous cases, and this is what this actually means, not what the department's policy is, and advocating for your clients. So if you don't want to be in that adversarial legal sort of system where it's you win or you lose, it's immigration's a really good area to go into. It's a very interesting area. There's lots of changes. So you've got to keep up to date with what's going on. And of course, it's very rewarding because you're basically helping a lot of people out who are coming from less fortunate countries than Australia and helping them to find a better life. And despite all the rhetoric, in general, most migrants are very happy to be here and complying with the law. And ever since Federation, 125 years, 30% of Australia's population has been born overseas. So some like 125 years ago, they were all born in the UK and Scotland and Ireland and places like that. And now it's less so of those and more people from the Asian area. But regardless of where they're from, they're migrants. And that really hasn't changed. It has been edging up over the last 5 years. It's almost up to 35%. And I know in some areas, like you're thinking Parramatta in Sydney, it's up to like 45%. But across the country, that's where it's at. So it's very rewarding. It's pretty good financially, and if you don't want to be sort of fighting and battling in an adversarial legal system all the time, then it's a really good area. Like you could do administrative law in like property or wills and probates and things like that, but it's all pretty dry and boring if you ask me. And things like family law, very adversarial. I'd never even go near that. So yes, how long is PTE valid for a 186DE dependent? I think they're valid for 3 years. I'm not sure. I think it's at the time of application when the English tests are checked. But again, I don't know off the top of my head for dependents. So you just want to avoid the fee, right? So if you drop me a DM, I'll look it up for you, and I'll get back to you, give you a definitive answer. Can I have a link to apply for 482, please? Aussie Phil Yagi. I don't know. How long it takes for a partner visa 801? It's been 5 months. I applied 2 years overall. So we had him up earlier. I think it was 8 or 9 months, 5 to 8 months. Oh, let's have another look. On AussieVisaMate.app, processing times. There you go. 801s, 8 months to 26 months. God. So just make sure the department's still got your contact details and they're able to contact you. Of course, it's all electronic now, so it shouldn't be that tricky. But keep it up to date. Aussie Phil, check out the app. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Electrical engineers are finished. I don't think they're finished. I think they probably need jobs. No, there were no, like, look, we're in November. We're expecting the final round of 189 to be in the next couple of weeks. That's what I'm expecting anyway. There were no engineers in the last round for 189. So let's have a quick look at electrical engineers and see what your chances are. Let's have a look here. You got to roll your dice and take your chances. That's what. That's my very bad Jack Nicholson impersonation as the Joker. Electrical engineer. There we go. For skilled, there's 4,600 applicants, and we say the cutoff is 95. Is that on screen? It is on screen. And as you can see, 95 here is the cutoff. There's 69 people on 95 points. If you're one of them, you're probably a chance. They made 104 offers. You probably want to be at the high end of that. There were no offers in the last round in 85 and 90. If we look at the state nominations, the states that were making offers were New South Wales, which they got 2,100 applicants. They offered 56. It's hard to see. Western Australia, you don't want to be there. 2,100 applicants, no offers. Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia, 54. So again, 95, and for the 491, look, the cutoff's 105, right? Which is basically saying that there's such a large number and a small number of places being offered that they're just going to be taking they're either offshore or they're going to be taking the best scores from GSM applications. You can see how bad the reduced quotas is skewing the point system. So you need work. Since you're new, Yagi, kindly let me know if there's an app for the bio. You can just go to the link in my bio. It's you go to the Aussie Visa Mate symbol, and you bring up my bio, however you do it. You get to that page where all my things are, and then halfway down it's got www.aussievisamate.app. So app, and then you can download the app. You can use the website. You can subscribe if you want the detailed information, and you can contact me. You can book a meeting at the bottom of the page. There's a big not on that page, there isn't. If we go to the home page, if you're on the home page, you're going to book a meeting down the bottom. And if you're at the top of the page, you can join the other social media sites that we're in, which would be really nice. And also download the apps. You got the Apple one will take you to the App Store, and the terrible Android one. God, what have they done with their icon? The Android one, you can download a packaged version of the website and keep it on your phone. So so those are the options for communicating with me. If you're an aged care worker, you can register for aged care. If you're a truck driver, you can register. Oh, it says or information. It should be for information. So another typo to fix. The benefits of being a sole practitioner. All the work you got to do. Yes, and look, if you're doing the points test, we've got the points test calculator there. Which is always a handy thing, unless they change it or get rid of it in the near term. Can hospitality jobs get paid the current TSMT, or the TSMT is too high? Drugs in you, you've still got too many drugs in you. The hospitality jobs, what are you talking about? You're talking about a dishwasher, or you're talking about a hotel manager? You're talking about an industry. I I don't know. Go onto a salary server. Go to payscale.com.au. Enter in your occupation, not your industry, and see what it says the pay rates are for. Right? APEN. I try to play most jobs in SEEK looking for sponsor. No one calls me. APEN. Don't sit back. Start calling them. And I saw Gary Vee said, look, if you're looking for work, you've got to be making 40 or 50 applications a day to cut through. So, yes. Sumito, Botswana, register on the website, get the information kit, see if you qualify. I've lodged my TR. It's been 14 days, still waiting for the waiting. Medical was updated 1 day after lodgement. TR processing times, what are they? They're on Aussie Visa, mate. You can look them up at the bottom. Student visas, 485. There you go. Post higher education, 50% of applicants in 20 days, 90% 33 days. If you're a vocational student, 29 days, 50% of the time, and 3 months for 90% of cases. Processing times are indicative and not guaranteed. So there you go on TR. Sit tight. You'll be on a bridging visa. You'll get there in the end. And I've answered your question on how long it will take. Higher education. Trucker Bren, can I use my UK lorry license in Australia, or do I have to start over? So you need an Australian heavy license, but and they're state-based, so it's not like a federal scheme. But there's basically, from what I can gather, there's basically 3 different types. And if you're an Australian and you start out, you get like an MC license, and then you've got to have that for like 6 to 12 months, and then you can get a heavy. And then once you've had that for a couple of years, then you can go the whole hog, right? But if you've got your UK license, they basically, as long as you haven't had it for 5 days, if you've had it for a while, then you can basically apply for the equivalent license in Australia. You have to sit the test. Drivers have to do medicals, and you'll have to do a road rules test so that you don't drive up your lorry up the wrong side of the road here in Australia. And things like that. But and there might be a requirement to do medical training as well, or at least some CPR training. But that process takes about 1 to 3 weeks, depending on the organisation you go through and your background when you get here. So you don't start from scratch, but you don't get a you don't get a free pass either. You can't just go, I've got a UK licence, give me an Australian one, like you can with your residential driver's licences. Commercial driver's licenses, we need to make sure that you're fit and healthy and all that kind of stuff. 20 years for processing is not far wrong. Troy Ray, HA are in Adelaide. Okay. Please, is forklift operator on the list? It's not on the CSOL, but it's on the DARMA agreements, definitely on the DARMA agreement for the Northern Territory. But the thing is, you're not going to make a phone call and pick up a job as a forklift operator from overseas. You need to be in Australia in order to get it. So all these jobs on DARMAs and stuff, they're really for people who have been here as students or as backpackers, so that they can keep them in the country. It's not really about importing people into the country to fill those jobs. So Trucker Bren, how do you do it? So as I said, it's going to take 1 to 3 weeks. I can help you out with that, depending on where you want to move to and stuff to get it. Well, depending on you. Well, basically you need to go to Western Australia, right? So go to Perth. That's the nicest place to go to. Well, that's what I'd recommend anyway. And then you can come as a tourist if you're in the UK and like you're a British citizen, you'll have no problem getting a tourist visa. You can come here. You can do a 1 to 3 week course at a registered training organisation, an RTO, and for 1 to 3 weeks they'll train you and sign you up for everything, and then you got to go to the government to actually get the license. But they'll give you a truck to take along for your driving test. And away you go. So that's basically the process. which city would you recommend for the highest pay for IT? Like, IT is an industry, right? So probably the highest pay would be Sydney. It's always paid higher than everywhere else. But I don't know. It depends on what you can get. And also, like, you get a higher pay, but the cost of living is outrageous in Sydney as well. So it's like when I moved from Melbourne to Sydney and I worked in IT, I was a programmer early in my career, and I got paid 10 or 20% more when I moved, but my rent went from $240 a month to $240 a week. And the rent in that apartment now would be probably, it was in Neutral Bay, it was a 2-bedroom place that I had, it'd be well over $1,000 a week now. So, because that was 97 or something like that. So 30 years ago, long time. Anyway, how long does the DAMA endorsing process take? Look, they're endorsed by the DAMA authority in the regional area, so they've all got different processing times. There's no overall sort of whatever. Once the authority has endorsed it, I can't recall actually whether or not you lodge a sponsorship and then they have to. I think you lodge the sponsorship and then the endorsing authority provides a letter or some such thing. But they're all different. So if DAMA takes months to process, can we apply for a bridging visa to wait it out? So the way bridging visas work is if you're in Australia and you make any other what they call a substantive visa, any real visa, then you'll be granted by operation of law. That means it's automatic. You'll be granted a bridging visa, and that keeps you lawful in the case where the visa you're currently on expires before they make a decision. So if you apply on the last day of, say, your student visa, you'll be given a bridging visa, and that will last until they make a decision on whatever visa you apply for. So if you're making a DAMA application, until they decide your DAMA visa. Now, it's very important to understand that you only get a bridging visa if you make a visa application. Applying for a sponsorship or applying for a nomination is not a visa application. You need to get to the point where you've actually lodged the visa in order to get a bridging visa and maintain your lawful status, right? So just bear that in mind. Trucker ban, Payne is 70 points. Any chances? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at painters. I think painters really need jobs, but we'll find out. Painter. Okay. Painters. So there's 819 painter applications. We say the cutoff is 202, and there's been no offers in the 189. On the state-based system, Western Australia and Victoria were the only ones making offers. 80 points is what you would need to get an offer. There's about 500 applicants in Victoria and in Western Australia, and everyone must be using Aussie Visa, mate, because you can be pounced to peanuts that these applicants in South Australia and New South Wales, overseas applicants, they're not aware that that those states aren't making offers to people. So look, we're taking Victoria and Western Australia are taking about 10% of the people who apply, and yeah, you need to have at least 80. 85 should guarantee you a place if they make offers when they come out. Bricklayer points, Freddie. You can always download my app, and it's a useful tool, and it saves people money. And I can only maintain it if I get paid to. So if no one buys it, then I'll just close up shop and save myself a lot of time. So bricklayers, for the state sponsorship, the only state that made offers was Victoria recently, and you need 80 points is what we suggest. Independently, you need 75 points, and 65 was the latest cutoff. It's like so the numbers are so small. As you can see, there's people who've applied at 90, 85 and 80, and the numbers are so small, the department just says less than 20. So you're probably good at 65. It's been 65 for a while, but the way that we calculate it, we assume that less than 20 is 10. So yeah, if they made 71 offers, 10, 10, 10, 10, yeah, 70. It's just an approximation. So, oh, I wasn't showing it at the time. Sorry about that. But anyway, bricklayers, get a job as a bricklayer. That's what you need to do, Freddie. Drugs in you. Is there a limit to how many times we apply for bridging visas? Well, you're limited by your bank account, right? Every time you make a visa application, you'll get a bridging visa. So if you want to apply for multiple visas to get multiple bridging visas, you can do so. Can two visa holders, a student and a visitor's visa, marry here in Australia? WA to be specific. Getting married, you can be unlawful and get married. So it's got nothing to do with immigration, getting married. And immigration is federal across the Commonwealth, across Australia, and marriage is state based. So you just go in and say, oh, the two of us want to get married, and away you go. So nothing to worry about there. Prakash says, hello, good day, Prakash, and Freddie says, thank you, no worries. Kay, can you apply for the same visa that you're on before it expires? Well, you probably can, but you just need to meet the conditions. If you're on a student visa, you can apply for a student visa extension. And if you're on a tourist visa, I'm not sure, it depends on which tourist visa, I think, but I don't do tourist visas, obviously. But you might be able to apply for another one if you're already here. Certainly if you're on a working holiday visa, well, you can definitely apply for a couple of those, up to 3 if you meet the criteria. But you have to make sure you don't have like a no further stay condition. Some tourist visas have got no further stay, which means you can't apply for any visa once you've arrived in Australia. How long does the 189 take to come through for nurses? Well, they don't tell us for specific occupations. Apparently they're only doing medical teaching and construction. The only 3 industries that they're really looking at processing. So they'll be processing. I was quite surprised that the department hasn't updated their processing times for the 189s that were offered in August. These were updated just earlier this week, and the department is still saying that 189 processing times, I'll bring it up, 189 processing times there on the left, 9 to 10 months, which basically means that they haven't completed anyone who has got an offer since August, and there would have been people who applied immediately. So you'd have thought that at least some would start coming through pretty quickly. I thought back at the start of this year when they were processing the November ones from last year, they were getting done in 3 to 4 months. The processing time was 3 to 5 months, and so you would think that would be the same this year. Maybe not, I don't know. But 3 to 5 months suggests that the people who got offered in August would be getting their visas before Christmas. That's only 6 weeks away. So hopefully they come through pretty quickly. Sean, I don't know if you're offshore or onshore, but if you're onshore, well, you'll have a bridging visa. You can keep working. Okay, for example, you're on a visitor visa before it expires, you apply for another one. You may be able to. The thing about visitors visas, look, there's 3 different types, right? But they have this, you can only stay for 3 months, so you might be able to apply for another visa, but generally speaking, you only stay for 3 months. You might need to leave in any event because of the restriction you've got. And the other thing is there's sort of this 50% rule where if you've been given a visa for say 12 months, but it's multiple entry, it's like maximum 3 months stay, and then once you leave, you're not supposed to come. You can't do like a border run like you can do in Thailand. You've got to leave for 3 months before you come back because you're a visitor. If you've got a reason for extending it, then someone's sick and you've got to look after them, or someone's you got to have a reason, basically. You can't just hang around because the department will want to know how you're funding your stay, whether you're working illegally or not, these kind of things. I've actually got a video on tourist visa processing, which you can now access from AussieVisaMate.app. Video tutorials, watch the videos. So we got one on the parent visa, the middle one on tourist visas, subclass 600, and spouse visa priority processing. So if people want any information on any of those, you can give them a whirl. Yes, Prakash applied for 186 nomination visa in April. How long will it take? 12 to 14 months is what they're taking. Well, minimum 50% are taking 12 to 14 months. 14 to 18, I think, is what they're taking. Drugs in you. I'm not sure what you're talking about for category 1 or 2 or category 3. So maybe if you want to discuss your case, you can book an appointment and I can assist you. So, Louis, hey mate, what % chance of 189 visa when I completed Cert 3 carpentry at TAFE? Well, I don't think graduates have got any chance, generally speaking, of getting a 189 visa because the points are so high that you need to have work experience. So if you've just completed the course, you don't have any work experience, probably not real flash, right? But, you get a 485 visa, you can get some work experience, you get sponsored, get on a 482 and get sponsored. That's the guaranteed way. I don't know when you're going to, well, it says you have completed, but I mean, if they do an offer round in November and it's the last one for the year, well, there's going to be no offers for the next 8 months. What are you going to do? If you don't get an offer, you're going to know pretty quick if you get an offer or not. Everyone's going to be going, I got an offer. And if you didn't get one, then they'll be out for the year. There'll be no more until there'll definitely be no more until the end of June. And then you'll need to wait for the next allocation the following year. Get work as a carpenter, and away you go. Louis, plus 1 year experience in the field with positive through the JRP. Yes. Well, as I said, employment is the way to go. ORUSH is a driver for 9 years. Register, get the information kit, see if you are eligible. Any more rounds this year? Well, I think November. The last 2 years, the last round has been in November. I don't know why they wouldn't make the offers any time soon. I think that's a good thing. Can 482 visa holders sponsor visitor visas? Look, I don't really think so. It depends on what you're trying to do. look, I'd say like I'd just say it's not worth it, right? Um, sponsored visas are really for friends and family who are here, and they want to bring people here for someone's 60th birthday or someone's wedding or something like that, right? A special occasion, or they're an Australian who wants to bring their wife into the country and just spend time with them because the processing time's taken forever, right? If you're a temporary visa holder, like you're not really in a position to be to be sponsoring someone. Whether you can do it or not, I don't know. I think it's against. I'd be surprised because it's against policy. If you need to sponsor someone because they're from a dodgy country where the department just goes no, 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 then they're not gonna be looking at you. I think that's very unlikely. Smile for me, please. Can I move from the 482 to a study visa? My employer has been reluctant for a 186. Find another employer. I don't think 482s are restricted from applying for a student visa. I think you can do that, whether or not be granted or not. But I don't think you. I think it's only the temporary visa holders who are caught up in the. Well, I suppose the 482 is a temporary visa, but I'm pretty sure the 482 allows you to move to a student visa. Yeah. Can I apply for a truck driver training in Australia? And after training, I work for that company. You can apply for a 407 training visa. If you've got a sponsor and they'll sponsor you on it as a trainee, you probably need to be qualified. So I'm not exactly sure, and it's a long process. The processing time for a truck driver is for a 407 is 10 or 11 months or something. It's not very good if you're offshore. You'd be better, like it might be your only way, but you're probably better off trying to get a student visa to do the truck driving course, or I suppose it depends on time frames and stuff. So drop me a DM we can discuss. I might be able to help you out. So when can we expect the next 189 round? As I said, any day now, November. I'm not sure what for some reason in the back of my mind, November 22nd is coming up as last year's as last year's date, but I could be wrong. But certainly the last 2 years it's been in November, so go for November. Do you think there's going to be a big invitation? Well, I just said I think all of them. So there's 10,000 places, so 10,000 left. November, away you go. John, I completed early childhood. I'm in Melbourne and planning to move to Queensland, Townsville. Do you think it's good? I don't know what the market is. Early childhood, if you're in Queensland, you need to have a degree for their state sponsorship, not the diploma. So you need to be employed. Look, there's a lot of early childhood people coming onto the market. About 300 or 400 a month are joining the queue. What was it? Let's have a look. I'll bring it up. Not long ago, it was 5,800 people, right? And if we look up early childhood now, 7,900. So 8,000. It's gone up from 5,800. So it's gone up like 2,000 people in the space of 4 months. It's a lot of people who are graduating, looking for work and things like that. I think you are doing the right thing moving to a regional area. I don't know whether or not Townsville specifically is looking for people, but yeah, generally speaking, moving to a regional area is a wise move. Townsville is quite a big city. It's like 160, 180,000 people from memory. I actually thought it was quite small, like Cairns is, but yeah. I've got a friend who lives on Magnetic Island and he catch the ferry across and things like that. Went up there 5 or 6 years ago. So, yes. What about, I don't know what you mean by 485 visa holders. Any chances? Is it allowed to study a bachelor's while on a 485 visa? Can I still work full time while studying? Well, look at your visa conditions. If you can get a look, I don't think you've got. Look, okay. Firstly, the policy for a 485 is so you can get work experiences, not so you can study. But I don't think you've got a study restriction. I just think you're wasting the visa. So if you and the 485 visa is unless you're Indian, is probably not going to last as long as your course. So I wouldn't be enrolling in a course unless I had a visa that allowed me to finish it. So I think if you're on a 485 and you want to study a bachelor's degree, I think you should probably go offshore and make an application and see if it's granted and get onto the student visa. So yeah, I don't think that's a I don't think it's what you're suggesting is a good outcome for you. What about early childhood teachers? You need employment, and you probably need to move to a regional area to get it. How long does an ART take for a 407 visa? Well, the ART is taking over 2 years. So if you're here and if you're onshore and you're trying to get 12 months experience by applying for a training visa, just apply for the visa. You'll probably get the 12 months before they even make a decision whether or not it's been rejected or not. But hanging around for an extra 2 years if you're not already working for the company is a bit of a waste of time. So drop me a DM and explain your situation. Why do you want to appeal? Seems very bizarre to me. Pathway for community worker is employment. The pathway is employment, right? I keep saying it. There's really 189 is no good. Look, they're only looking at teachers, medical, and construction people. That's what came out of the Migration Institute's annual conference, where the department was like giving speeches about what they're doing and all this kind of, patting themselves on the back, going, "What a good job we're doing in immigration," and all that kind of crap, right? They got a list of 400 occupations, but they only want you if you're a medico, if you're a teacher, or if you're in the construction business, right? What is the cut off of external accountants, and on what minimum points are the chances to get an invitation? Accountants. Well, no invitations for the 189. I don't think you're going to get one, to be honest. We say you need 95 points. I'd suggest to you that it would be higher than that, because I can't see. New South Wales have removed accountants from their list, so yeah. But look, if you don't have 95, you need a job as an accountant. There's 12,000 applications, right? You need a job, or you need to be lucky. So and really lucky, right? 1,000 out of 12,000 is. Oh, sorry, I didn't show you there. But 1,000 out of 12,000, it's only 8% you're a bean counter. So that's what your chances are. And down the bottom is the number of people in each bracket. 56 on 105, 277 on 100, 754 on 95. You've got no chance really if you've got 90 points, and you've still got to hope that they're going to make offers to you. And the states, they've all had their quotas reduced by 30%. They all want building people to build houses, and teachers and doctors. They don't want bean counters. So you're going to have to go for employment, I think. Broomies WA Dharma, but average salary there is to be. I don't know, Drugs in You. I'm not an expert on wages in Broome. How can I get employment with you? Just drop me a DM and I'll send you the link. Or if you go to AussieVisaMate.app and you go to the bottom of the page, on the homepage, ready to start your Australian journey, book a consultation with our migration experts. there you go. And you can book one for me. So easy to do. Forrest Gump, definitely one of my favourite movies. Is there going to be change on the points test visa? That's why states getting interim allocations. Any idea? Okay, so look, this is what I can piece together from various sources. Is there going to be a points test change? Almost definitely. Everyone thinks it's going to happen. No one knows when, right? No one knows what's going to change too, but there seems to be consensus that they're going to focus. I don't know. They're going to get rid of things like regional benefits for regional points and foreign language skills and professional year. They're going to get rid of those, right? Like they've got professional years at the moment, but accounting and IT, no offers in the last round, right? So they're making people spend money to do these professional years, and then they're not offering them job, or they're not offering them positions, so they can make use of those points. I mean, it's completely outrageous. So then the government has been broadly saying about employment and not about general skills. They want people here and working, right? So they've told the states on the East Coast, apply for state DARMAs, right? And we're going to give priority, that's the Immigration Department saying this, we're going to give priority to the state DARMAs over the little regional ones, right? And as soon as the states have got state DARMAs, well, they don't need 190s and 491s, right? Because they'll have the same lists and people will be able to get onto those. To me, it's clear as daylight that they are going to get rid of the 190 and the 491 applications as soon as these states have got state DARMAs, and that will mean that the only option people will have is they'll need to be employed by someone, and then they'll be able to get a visa through the DARMA. So they'll either be employed on a 482, or if they've got an occupation that's one of the ones that's currently on a state list or a regional list that's not on the CSOL, then they'll be able to get them through the DARMA agreements, but they'll need to have jobs, right? So piecing together various industry sources and what people have been saying over the last 4 weeks, well, we already know, although it hasn't been announced, but they basically said at the migration conference, Western Australia's quota of 3,000 was cut to 2,100, and they're not happy about it. And they're saying that everyone's quota has been cut except for Queensland, who only had 600, right? They've all been cut by 30%. No one's announcing it because they're all trying to negotiate. They don't want to say, oh, we've got this, and then be able to negotiate their way around it. They're trying to put pressure. Look, it's a shocking visa anyway. The processing time's at 2 years, right? It's doing nothing. You're much better off getting employment, getting into the country, or staying in the country on a visa than holding out hopes for a 190 with a 2-year wait list, right? So, yeah, otherwise we're just going to have this trip. We could end up with a whole year of every month, oh, we've got another 150 places. Oh, we've got another 150 places. Oh, you know, these ongoing trickle of interim allocations with no announcements. I mean, it's not a way to run an immigration program saying we don't know what's going on from month to month. I mean, it's completely outrageous. You've got 8 state departments who are trying to plan and build their immigration numbers, and they're told they've got 150 spots. I mean, they've probably got 150 staff in these departments. One person. I mean, the numbers are shocking, right? Nick, what's your take on de facto relationships when applying for a 189, 190 in Western Australia? Oh, I really don't know what your question is. But if you're going to include your spouse, look, if you want to include your spouse in your application, then marry them, or you've got to meet the de facto test, which is you've been together for 12 months. You can't register your relationship. You both must be. Oh God, you both must be offshore. Yeah. So look, I'm assuming you're both offshore. You can't, or if or you're both living in Western Australia for a 189 visa. It, it oh, oh God. Um, well, yeah, you have to be, look, if you're in Western Australia, you have to be living together, or you have to get married, right? You can't sign a relationship register to make to make that application less. So if you haven't been living together for 12 months and you get an offer, well, one person applies, and then once they've got their PR in maybe three or 4 months, then you'll have PR and you'll be able to apply for a very expensive spouse application for your partner. Drop me a DM or book an appointment, and I'll get your exact situation. Yeah. Possibility of a 190 and a 491 as a community worker with 80 and 90 points living in New South Wales. Living and community worker with 80 and 90 points living in New South Wales. I think the New South Wales test is that you need to be, I think the New South Wales is need to be living and working in the occupation. I think they changed it from just, did they change it? I know they changed it. I can't remember if it was from living and working to just living. 80 and 90 points, community worker. Oops. Log back in. Okay. Commercial cleaner. Why won't that scroll for me? Community worker, 190s. 85 is what we say the cutoff is. 95 for 491s. There's so few places that, and so many applicants for 491s. So they took 23 out of 750, which is about 3% of the people who applied for the 491s. For the states, New South Wales didn't take any. So, yeah. So not much chance at all. You need to be employed to get a job. Carlito, is there any local jobs for truck drivers? Look, Australia has a shortage apparently of over 12,000 truck drivers, but a lot of those will be in regional areas, and that's where the DARMA agreements are. So if you want to register, and I don't know where you are or what your situation is, but if you want to register, put your email in on the website. There it is there in front of you, AussieVisaMate.app, and bottom right hand corner, register for truck driver information, and you'll get sent an email immediately, which will tell you what the 3-step process is. You need an English test, unless you're exempt. You need a skills assessment, and you need an Australian driver's license. So that requires you to be able to get to Australia to get an Australian driver's license, and once you're here, you can find a job as a truck driver. But then employers aren't going to look at you if you don't already have a license and you're in the country. So they're not going to pay to bring you here and train you and all that kind of stuff. Kerry, we're on a 482 at the moment. Can we apply for permanent residency 2 years from application or grant? No, you need to hold the 482 visa for 2 years. So you need to wait until at least the grant date, and then maybe a little bit longer, depending. So yes, but from the grant date, certainly not from when you applied. In the initial case, if you had 482 and then you got another bridging visa and got a 482, the bridging visa in the middle, that's counted, but not from the initial situation. And you need to have been working. It's a two criteria test. You need to have held the visa for 2 years. You need to be employed or working in the field for 2 years as well. I'm waiting 3 weeks for my third working holiday visa. Currently in Ireland. Is there a timeline? No, there's not. But look, it'll come through. A lot, like 1 in 100 people, for some reason, they take more than a day for some reason, and when they do, everyone says, "Oh, I finally got it," but it might have been 1 month or or 2 months. If you're Irish, maybe they just don't want you here for the New Year's celebration. I don't know. I'm sure you'll get it though. Just joking, of course. Okay, look, that's it from me. I am done. You should, hopefully I could help people today. I've finished version 3 of Aussie Visa Mate, and the website's all working. You can download the software and look up all the answers yourself. Keep up to date with processing times, all the rest of it. Support the channel, blah, blah, blah. And I should be back every day this week. So, that's only tomorrow.